We leave you this morning. We ask that you join us in sending love and strength to our beloved Today colleague Sheinelle Jones and her family. Sheinelle announced on Friday her husband of nearly 18 years, Oj, died after a long battle with an aggressive form of brain cancer.
What happened during the final moments at Sheinelle Jones' husband's funeral wasn't just touching, it left everyone speechless. The space was full of people, friends, co-workers, family members, but when Sheinelle rose to speak, a deep quiet filled the room. Phones were down. Cameras stayed off. There were no lights or microphones. Just her. Her voice, gentle but full of meaning, cut through the silence. What she said wasn't just about her husband's passing. It was about their journey, their love, and the life they built together. Her words didn't sound planned or rehearsed. They felt honest, pure, and straight from the heart. Everyone expected sadness that day. But what no one saw coming was the depth of her message, the stories she told, the way she painted a picture of their life, and the powerful truth hidden between each word. She spoke about love, not loss.
He loved those kids more than anything else in this world, and was just so proud of his kids. He was that dad that was on the sideline at every soccer game. He was at all of the concerts and the recitals. He was that guy.
About the little things that made their bond strong, the laughter, the late night talks, the inside jokes. She didn't just give a speech. She gave a gift, a piece of her soul, wrapped in stories only she could tell. The video of her tribute quietly made its way online. It wasn't flashy or edited. There were no effects or dramatic music. Just Sheinelle's voice, telling the truth. And that truth spoke louder than anything else. People who watched the clip didn't just cry, they paused. They thought. They reached for their loved ones. The tribute didn't just go viral, it touched hearts. People from all walks of life said they'd never seen someone speak about a loved one with so much warmth and calm strength.
Uche had a beautiful, deep, abiding faith.
Yes, he did.
Every single day of this fight, and you could see it in his eyes. He was an extraordinary person.
But to really understand why this moment touched so many, you have to look deeper, go back to the start of their love story. It didn't begin in a spotlight. It began in Philadelphia. Two young people finding each other at the right time. It wasn't flashy or loud. It was quiet, steady, and real. Sheinelle often said her husband, Uche, was her calm in the storm. He wasn't interested in fame or attention. He just wanted to be there for her, for their family. That solid foundation, built on small, honest moments, is what made the goodbye so hard. When Sheinelle disappeared from the Today Show, many viewers noticed right away. One morning, she was just gone. No message. No goodbye. People wondered if she was on vacation or working on something new. But the truth was more painful than anyone knew. Her husband had been fighting an aggressive form of brain cancer. And while the world saw her smiling on TV, off camera she was managing doctor visits, sleepless nights, and the fear of losing the love of her life.
You were on this big shoot out on the water, and on that shoot, let's take a look at her multitasking skills, because we hear there was a moment on the boat when you had to jump into mom mode in the middle of the shoot. Take a look.
Yeah, soccer practice is canceled. I have to go.
I'm surprised you got service out of the water.
We're like out on the water. Kyan was out by himself trying to get to soccer practice. And it's funny because our producer, Yael, the fact that she gets it too, she has kids, so she just recognizes that, like, she thought that was so funny because this is what we do. People think, we're juggling all over the place.
But it's so real.
I know, I've got the life vest on in the middle of the sea.
That is funny to see you like that with your hot yellow phone. I mean, just
I'm like, soccer practice is canceled. I gotta go.
Right, but you have to do it. And I think so often we try to hide what's really going on. You're on a shoot, soccer practice is canceled, then you have to make a call.
This is real life.
Happy International Day of Women.
Yeah.
She didn't make announcements. She didn't post about it. She quietly carried the weight, protecting her family's peace. She was grieving long before he passed. And when the end finally came, it wasn't a news story. It was a personal, heartbreaking chapter in her life. When she shared the news on Instagram, it was just one sentence: "I'm taking time to deal with a family health matter." Simple. Quiet. And yet that short message said more than pages ever could. Then came the day the Today Show shared the news on air. Savannah Guthrie's voice cracked. Hoda Kotb held back tears. Craig Melvin looked down, overcome with emotion. It wasn't just an announcement, it was a moment of shared grief.
We talk a lot about how this place is like a family, and this morning we have some heartbreaking news about someone who is very dear to us here at Today.
So let's take a deep breath. With profound sadness, we share this morning that Uche Ojay, the husband of our dear friend and Today co-host Sheinelle Jones, has passed away after a courageous battle with an aggressive form of brain cancer called glioblastoma. There are no words for the pain that we feel for Sheinelle and their 3 young children. Uche was an incredible person. We all loved him.
These weren't just co-hosts reading a script. They were friends, hurting for one of their own. Viewers across the country felt that pain. It reminded everyone that even the strongest people we see every day might be carrying the heaviest burdens. And when Sheinelle stood at that funeral, she didn't fall apart. She stood tall. Her voice may have wavered at times, but her message was strong. She talked about who Uche really was, not the illness, not the struggle, but the man she loved. She shared funny stories, sweet memories. She brought light into a dark room. People cried, but they also smiled. Because she made everyone feel like they had known him, too. The tribute wasn't about saying goodbye. It was about remembering the life they shared. She talked about dancing in the kitchen, road trips full of laughter, and how he always made her feel safe. She didn't focus on the pain. She chose to celebrate everything he was. And that's what made it unforgettable. After the service, there was no press tour. No dramatic interviews. Just one more post from Sheinelle. It read, "Thank you for all of your love and support." That was it. No photo. No filter. No hashtag. Just quiet gratitude. And in that silence, people heard everything. She didn't need to say more. Her strength was already clear, not in the words she spoke, but in the way she carried herself. And somehow, that quiet choice to not turn grief into a performance spoke louder than any headline ever could. Fans noticed. Other reporters praised her. Her co-hosts shared messages of love and support. But Sheinelle stayed still. She let the moment breathe. She allowed her silence to hold space for her pain, and in doing so, reminded us all of something important, that dignity doesn't need a microphone. Even though Sheinelle said very little publicly, her story was already moving through the world. People reflected on their own relationships. Some picked up the phone and called their parents. Others hugged their children tighter that night. Social media lit up with posts, not about celebrity gossip or drama, but about gratitude and love. One old photo of Sheinelle and Uche began to resurface, just a simple image with the caption, "We're just getting started." Now, it felt like a farewell. Not because it was tragic, but because it was full of meaning. This wasn't the kind of story people usually talk about on entertainment shows. There was no scandal. No conflict. Just a woman who loved deeply, lost painfully, and stood through it all with quiet power. That's why it touched so many hearts, because at its core, this story wasn't about sadness. It was about love. The kind that stays even after the person is gone. Sheinelle showed us that real love isn't always loud. It's not in grand gestures or big declarations. Sometimes it's in the silent sacrifices, the quiet nights, and the unspoken strength to keep going. She reminded everyone that what matters most isn't the noise we make, but the care we show in the small moments, the early mornings, the shared laughter, the way we choose each other every single day. One viewer wrote, "Sheinelle just showed us what real love looks like, not in words, but in action." Another person said, "She reminded me to love better, listen more, and not take a single day for granted." In the end, this wasn't just a funeral speech. It wasn't just a viral video or a touching moment on a morning show. It was something bigger. It was a quiet lesson in how to hold on to love, even when everything else is falling apart. It was a reminder that grief isn't about the end of a story, it's about honoring every part of it. Sheinelle didn't just say goodbye to her husband. She gave him one last tribute filled with the kind of love that doesn't fade with time. And through her grace, she gave all of us something to a reason to slow down, to cherish the people we love, and to remember that sometimes the strongest voices are the ones that don't need to shout. She stepped away from the spotlight. She didn't try to turn her grief into a show. Instead, she chose silence. She chose family. She chose healing. And in that choice, she showed a kind of strength that doesn't need to be loud to be seen. Her words at the funeral touched everyone in the room and later, everyone who saw the video. She didn't just talk about her loss. She talked about their life, their love, the joy they shared. She reminded everyone listening that real love is found in the little things, the quiet mornings, the shared smiles, the deep support. It's not about grand gestures. It's about the daily choice to be there for each other. Sheinelle's story has made people think about their own lives. It made many stop and ask, am I showing the people I love how much they mean to me? Her quiet strength reminded us that life is short, and the moments we share with others matter more than anything else. Her co-workers, friends, and fans were all deeply moved. Not just by her pain but by how gracefully she handled it. She didn't rush back to work. She didn't put on a fake smile. She gave herself time. And that's something we can all learn from. In a world that moves so fast, she reminded us that it's okay to pause, to grieve, to heal in our own way. Even though her husband is no longer here, the love they shared hasn't gone anywhere. It lives on in her words, her memories, and in the way she carries herself today. That's what true love does, it stays with you, even when everything else changes. So as we wrap up this video, take a moment. Think about someone you care about. A friend, a parent, a partner. Maybe send them a message. Tell them you love them. Thank them. Hug them. Life gets busy, but love is what makes it all worth it. Sheinelle didn't just lose someone. She celebrated him. She honored their journey. And she reminded all of us how powerful love can be even in the middle of heartbreak. Thank you for watching this video. If you were touched by Sheinelle's story, please share it. Not for views or clicks, but to remind someone out there that love, real love, is still alive. That it still matters. And that it's never too late to show it. Take care of yourselves. Take care of the people you love. And remember, sometimes the quietest goodbyes carry the loudest message.